So we just heard in the news the other day, actually yesterday, that the national debt for this country, the United States, has risen to a phenomenal $27 trillion. Just so you can get an idea of how big that number is, let's put that number on the screen right now. Peter, I want to ask you, who are we in debt to, and how has the situation gotten to this point? We hear a lot of talk about balancing the budget, but how do you balance a budget that is $27 trillion in debt?
Yeah, well, so to put that in context, of course, the U.S. economy is about $22 trillion. So the debt ratio...
Does that mean that's how much money the American economy generates every year?
That's the value of everything that's sold in a year in the United States. All the goods and services that are exchanged. So the debt ratio to the economy is not terrible compared to some other countries. You know, when you have a large economy, you can support a large debt. You said, okay, where does this come from? Well, a lot of that is owed to the U.S. government itself. You know, the U.S. takes in taxes, say, for Social Security, and then lends it to the government for other spending. A lot of that is owed to the United States' own central bank, the Federal Reserve. Some of that is owed to foreign banks, private investors, foreign governments who buy these treasuries. There's a lot of demand for this U.S. debt. As long as the world wants to keep on buying it, then the U.S. can keep on selling their debt and can keep on benefiting from all this extra spending ability.
Do you mean buying it in a realistic way, or just buying into it? You mean actually physically buying the debt, or just believing that, oh, the dollar is still the almighty dollar, we believe in it? And
well, that's a good point, because yes, there is. They literally buy U.S. debt, and the U.S. says we're going to sell $100 billion in debt, and the world generally does buy it up pretty quickly. When there isn't enough demand for that, and has been happening lately, it has been the United States' own central bank that has been buying the debt.
And if they don't have it, they just print it.
It will be created by the Federal Reserve.
Created out of?
By the Federal Reserve.
Not out of gold, right? We got rid of the gold.
Right, no, it's not created out of anything. No, it's created as a loan. That does, of course, lead to a situation where other countries have to have some faith in the U.S. Dollar system, that the dollar will maintain its value, seeing as we're now at a point where it's the United States' own central bank having to buy the U.S. debt. But there is, of course, not really an alternative to the U.S. dollar system. So it's something that people kind of have to use in some cases, whether they like it or not, because that's what there is.
No, it doesn't. I mean, why don't we have a euro standard? Why is it always the dollar standard, or the Japanese yen? Why? How does that figure into it? Why do people keep talking about the dollar, even though there is no more gold standard? The dollar isn't backed by gold. What gives people the faith in the dollar more than the euro or the yen or other currencies?
Yeah, well, so the United States has been the world's largest economy, with by far the most powerful military and the greatest global presence for many decades now. So this system is very much in place, and countries have been using it for decades. It works reliably. There simply isn't a replacement. You can't just make a replacement to a global financial military system that everybody has to use in order to conduct global trade.
Okay, there's a lot of talk about the world uniting, and possibly, the vision in Europe was that get rid of all of the national currencies and create this currency, the euro. There's now talk about pulling all the economic systems together and having one monetary system, one currency for the whole world. Do you ever see that happening, or would that be a good thing or a bad thing, or are we marching toward that?
in a sense, we do have something quite like that, with the dollar and the special drawing rights of the IMF. The world is certainly linked financially. The SWIFT system for processing communications between banks, that's a global system. Of course, what you're talking about does have some eerie sounding elements to it because of we know what the Bible says about the Antichrist system, how he'll have a system whereby no one can buy or sell unless they have the mark of the beast. And so it is certainly something that it seems that ungodly systems do use, and unfortunately they don't just provide benefit, but they also provide coercion, and they can be used to harm and oppress people. Even today, there are countries that entire countries have been closed out of this system, and they cannot buy or sell, and these countries suffer greatly. And then, and of course, we know from the Bible prophecies that there will be a time when worship of the beast will be required to participate in this kind of a system. Whether it's this same dollar system or something that replaces it, we're not sure.
So as far as a currency, a global currency, the dollar is still the currency.
That's what there is. That's
Yep.
what there is. There's not something to rival it yet.
And so getting back to our original question here, and maybe we can close in this, if I am the United States Congress and we say that we need $2 more trillion or $3 trillion, and we vote that we can have it, then does the Federal Reserve take that and just go to the printing presses and print it up? Is that how it works?
At the moment, that is the policy of the Federal Reserve. If there's not enough demand from foreign banks or from private investors, then yes, the Federal Reserve will create the money to cover those treasuries.
Well, that would certainly be nice if everybody could have a little printing press in their home, and you need some money and you just buy the ink, buy the paper, and let the presses roll.
All you need is to have 700 military bases around the world, and you just need to be a global empire, and then you can have that too.
Well, thank you, Peter, for your insight on that, and we hope that this has given you some insight also into the economic situation that we are faced with here in this country and in the world.